Now that both of our cases are clean, we can continue with the reassembly of the transmission. Could install the main shaft seal first. I couldn't install it with the flat side of the seal facing down. See, it's flat, side's not. We'll place it this way. I've just started the seal in there with my hands. Now I'm going to use my brass drift. I'm just going to slightly tap that into it, seats against the bottom of the case. The area of the seal that I'm tapping on is the outer lip right here, the seal. Just tapping it lightly all the way around to get the seat down. I'm not tapping nowhere in the middle to tap this. Just on the outer edge. New bearing. I'm going to install it with the back side of the cage facing towards me. Same thing, I'm going to tap around the outside of the bearing race, not in the middle. There, bearings in all the way. Normally they don't go in that hard, this one's a little stiff. You'll know when it bottoms out just by the feel of it. It hits really hard. Next thing we do is put my magnet back in. Don't want to forget that. Now that the magnet's in, the bearing's in, the seal's in, we can put the differential back in. That went in very nice. Now we can put our shafts back in. Just make sure you know that you put the washers back in the main shaft. Got them all picked up here. You can notice my thumb, I'm holding the washers onto the main shaft. Just gonna turn it. Just kind of slowly work it back in so everything lines up. There. Now we can go ahead and install our reverse selector set. You can see the opening, the jaws right here. This opening here. You want that to correspond with the opening here on the shift lever. I don't know if you can see that here. I'm going to install my reverse gear, reverse idler. Now we're ready to put our case back on. Just going to prep the surface here. We have to use our RTV silicone. I'm going to apply a nice even bead of RTV where the case meets. Nice even bead of RTV sealer around the base of the clutch case. Another thing I normally do before I put the case on is I actually lift the case up and I put a screwdriver or something underneath it so that the main shaft is actually not sitting on the bench and it's not holding me up when I reassemble the case. Another thing you really want to note is the location of this here. This has to go in a specific area of the case. It's just off this shift fork a little bit right there. If this is over here and you put the case back on, you're going to have issues. If it's over here, you're going to have issues. You want this to be right about there. I have my nice and clean clutch or transmission case. I'm going to put the bearing loop tray back in here, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure what the hell the thing's called. And now we're going to proceed to put the case back on. As I'm putting the case on, I'm holding the plastic oil feed plastic hose. I'm holding it with my hands. Before you put your case back on, you want to make sure that all your gears are neutral. There, 90% there. To get the case on the remaining amount of the way, I'm going to have to separate the snap ring inside here and just push it down. Sometimes it takes some finesse and sometimes it gets stuck on the dowels. There she goes. Just stuck on the dowels. Now that my case is back down tight, I can put my 12mm bolts back in the case. I also can put these, this plug back in and be on our way. A little bit of RTV sealer on the plug for the snap ring. I'm just going to loosen up my fill plug on the side. A lot easier to do it here than it is when it's in the car. 2 D10 balls. Springs, D10 ball holders, they're both the same, doesn't matter where they go. Reverse switch. Make sure you clean the remaining silicone off your shifter assembly. Apply a bead of RTV to the clutch case where your shifter has to go back in. There we go. Input shaft bearings now installed. I'm just going to double check all my gears. Check them with the shaft turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reverse. We're good. I have all my gears. Everything's back in. We're all set.